Something really interesting is happening in the electric car world right now. For years, the story was simple. Tesla builds the future, and everyone else is trying to catch up. But then you drive something like the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and suddenly the conversation changes. Because now the question isn't just which EV has the best numbers. The real question becomes, which car actually feels better to live with? And that's where this comparison gets fascinating. Welcome back to Autosphere. If you enjoy exploring the engineering, strategy, and ideas shaping the future of cars, consider subscribing. This channel is all about the machines quietly reshaping the automotive world. Now let's start with the obvious. On paper, the Tesla Model Y still looks almost unbeatable. This is the car that became the best-selling vehicle in the entire world in 2023. Not just the best-selling EV, the best-selling car, period. That kind of dominance doesn't happen by accident. Tesla built a machine that checks nearly every rational box buyers care about. Range, efficiency, charging network, cargo space. The fundamentals are extremely strong. Take range, for example. The Model Y premium rear-wheel drive version can travel about 357 miles on a full charge according to the EPA. That's a huge number. The Hyundai Ioniq 5, limited with all-wheel drive, comes in closer to 269 miles. And look, that difference matters. Range anxiety is still real for a lot of buyers. Knowing you can drive another 80 or 90 miles before needing to charge changes how relaxed you feel on a road trip. Tesla also squeezes more distance out of every kilowatt hour. The Model Y achieves about 134 miles per gallon equivalent, while the Ioniq 5 sits closer to 98 miles per gallon equivalent. And what's interesting is the Hyundai actually has a slightly larger battery pack, around 84 kilowatt hours versus Tesla's roughly 80. Yet Tesla still goes farther. That tells you something about Tesla's engineering priorities. Efficiency has always been their obsession, but here's where things start to get interesting. Because the moment you stop looking at spreadsheets and start thinking about real life, the story begins to shift. Take charging. Both of these cars advertise peak charging speeds around 250 kilowatts, which sounds identical. But the Hyundai uses an 800-volt electrical architecture, and that changes the experience quite a bit. In one real-world test, the Ioniq 5 went from 10% to 90% in about 30 minutes. The Model Y in that same comparison needed closer to 44 minutes. Now, to be fair, Tesla still has one massive advantage: the supercharger network. It's reliable, simple, and everywhere, but the gap there is shrinking quickly. Hyundai drivers can increasingly tap into the same charging infrastructure, which means Tesla's biggest moat isn't quite as deep as it once was. And honestly, this is where the entire comparison starts to get philosophical, because Tesla optimized the Model Y around technology and efficiency. Hyundai optimized the Ioniq 5 around the human being sitting inside it. The design alone tells you that story. The Model Y is clean, minimal, almost aggressively simple. There's basically one giant screen controlling nearly everything, which, yeah, looks futuristic, but living with it can be a little weird sometimes. Even simple things, like adjusting mirrors or opening certain vehicle settings, require digging through menus. At one point, I remember someone mentioning that even selecting neutral for something like a car wash involves extra taps on the screen. And honestly, wait. Let me correct that slightly. It's not that the system is bad. Tesla's interface is fast and responsive. It's more that the car asks you to adapt to its way of doing things. The Hyundai takes a completely different approach. Inside the Ioniq 5, you get physical buttons where you expect them, climate controls you can adjust without thinking, screens that work with the controls instead of replacing them. It just feels intuitive. And then there are the small things. The Ioniq 5 has a head-up display, projecting navigation and speed right onto the windshield. It offers a digital rear-view mirror for better visibility. There's even a sunshade for the glass roof, which sounds minor until you park the car in the summer. Tesla's giant panoramic roof looks incredible, but on a hot day, that shade suddenly sounds like genius. Hyundai also added vehicle-to-load capability, meaning the car can literally power external devices, camping gear, tools, even another EV in an emergency. These aren't headline specs. but they make daily life easier. And honestly, those kinds of thoughtful touches start to accumulate. The driving experience tells a similar story. The Model Y feels quick and sharp. Tesla tuning tends to emphasize responsiveness and agility. The Ioniq 5, on the other hand, feels calmer, more composed, more comfortable over rough pavement. Some testers describe the Hyundai as the more settled car, the one that feels a little more mature, which is surprising when you look at the performance numbers, because the Ioniq 5 limited AWD actually reached 60 miles per hour in about 4.6 seconds in testing. The Model Y Premium rear-wheel drive took roughly 5.1 seconds. Now, the quarter-mile times ended up nearly identical, so neither one is exactly slow. But again, this is where expectations get flipped. You assume Tesla will dominate performance. Instead, the experience ends up feeling much closer. Practicality is another interesting trade-off. Tesla still wins the cargo war pretty clearly. With the rear seats folded down, the Model Y offers about 71 cubic feet of cargo space. The Ioniq 5 sits closer to 59, and Tesla's front trunk is about 4 cubic feet, compared to Hyundai's tiny 1 cubic foot compartment. If you're hauling luggage, gear, or a family's worth of stuff, that difference is real. But then you start thinking about price, and that's where things get complicated. The Model Y Premium rear-wheel drive starts around $46,000. The Ioniq 5 limited AWD was originally closer to $59,000, which made the Tesla look like an obvious value. But Hyundai later dropped the price of the limited AWD to about $50,575. Suddenly, the gap shrinks dramatically, and when the prices get that close, buyers start paying attention to the softer things: comfort, usability, perceived quality. And here's the bigger idea hiding underneath this comparison. For a long time, Tesla dominated because it was the only company that truly understood how to build compelling electric cars. But that era is ending. Legacy automakers have caught up in the areas that matter most: battery architecture, charging performance, and EV packaging. Now they're bringing something Tesla historically hasn't prioritized as much: traditional car craftsmanship, ergonomics, attention to everyday comfort, which means the EV market is entering a new phase. The question is no longer, can anyone compete with Tesla? The question now is, what happens when other companies build electric cars that feel just as advanced, but more livable? Because the Ioniq 5 shows that the future of EVs might not belong to the company with the biggest screen or the longest range. It might belong to the company that remembers something simple. A car isn't just technology, it's a place people spend hours of their lives, and the brands that understand that balance between innovation and humanity might end up defining the next era of the electric car.